Well, it is wonderful to have you back as we begin another new Bible study. I missed doing this, but I'm thankful to be back with you over the next few weeks as we begin this new Bible study. Suit Up, which is an opportunity for us to kind of internalize and look at the character and how we, as followers of Jesus Christ, hopefully do or should look and act and live. And if you're not a follower of Jesus Christ, then hey, welcome. We're glad you're here. This is an opportunity for you to assess whether or not that might be some sort of a suit that you want to put on, or for you at the least to be able to see whether or not those who claim to be followers of Jesus really match up. All of this is brought to you thanks to the generosity of those who are a part of Christ's Table. I encourage you to be a part of Christ's Table. In fact, if you go to that website, www.christtable.today, you can find out more about us, and would encourage you especially to sign up for the email list there so that you will know all of the things that are going on. A couple of things that I want to make sure that you're aware of is, first, we send out these spiritual resource boxes. In fact, one just went out through the mail last week. I've got a few more to mail today. They include spiritual resources to help you on your journey. This Bible study is one of the things that's included. And in fact, there is a printed copy of this study included in that box. If you'd like to have that, go to www, there it is right there, christtable.today. And if you donate, then I'll send this in the mail to you for absolutely free. But I've got a few extras, like 4 or 5 left. We almost have run out of them, but would love to get these in your hands. And so even feel free to email or shoot a private message or comment on this and let me know if you'd like one. If you don't have one, and we will get one on its way to you. One other thing that's in this in that box, which I don't usually tell what's in there before it comes out, is this book by Barbara Brown Taylor, Holy Envy. Hardback book, incredible book. We're going to do a book study on this and read through it. One of the things that we're looking at over these next few weeks is how to work together with other people, how to live in such a way that we are opening ourselves up to other people and other ideas and other things. And we see that in Christ as well. And so this idea of holy envy, this book, we're going to go through it on Wednesday nights. Would love to have you be a part of that. That book is in the box if you want it, or you can just download the book yourself on Kindle or any other e-reader and join us. Go to christtable.today, discuss Wednesday, 8 p.m. And that is the wrong book title, and that is the wrong chapter. We're live, so I guess I forgot to completely edit that slide. But it will be Wednesday night, and it will be this book, Holy Envy, and we will be in chapters 1 and 2, and we would love to have you. This Bible study, you can find all of the daily readings at go.christtable.today/suitup, and we would love to have you go there and join us on the journey today. We are first day in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 22 and 23. Most of these readings are very short. They're just a few verses, and so this should be a very easy study for you. And I hope that you've got your study book and that you're going to answer the questions on your own throughout the day, but we'll also through this study give you some extra insight and some things to think about, and always love having your questions as well, either live or on delay. Sometimes I answer the questions live depending on whether or not they come up and I see them. So here we go. Let's dig in. When we come to 1 Corinthians chapter 9, Paul is really kind of in the middle of expressing what it should look like to be a person who is devoted to Jesus Christ. Now, we know lots of people in our life who say that they are devoted to Jesus Christ, but whenever we look at the way that they live, their actions, the things that they say, the people that they hang around with, we might question whether or not that is somebody who is truly following Jesus in word and in action, or whether or not maybe they're just saying that and doing whatever the heck they want. Now, this can be difficult, though, because there are many competing ideas of what it should look like to be a follower of Jesus Christ. Is a follower of Jesus Christ the person who is serving the homeless and working at food kitchens and maybe living alongside doing this missional kind of work? Is the pastor who has tattoos and piercings and crazy long hair and ripped jeans and uses off-color words? Is this someone who's a follower of Jesus Christ? What about the person who's sitting in the pew at church all dressed up well and nicely and holds themselves in a manner that is very professional and very well cut? Is that a follower of Jesus Christ? What about that individual who understands and knows Jesus but never goes to church? Doesn't seem to want to have anything to do. Is that person a follower of Jesus Christ? These are a lot of the questions that Paul is dealing with in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, and we won't deal with all of them today, but we will begin to unpack and unravel these as we work through this Suit Up series. But we're going to start with a portion of 1 Corinthians chapter 9 where Paul begins to lay out what some of his modus operandi are, his operation modes are for himself and for interacting with other people. 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 22, Paul says, "When I am with those who are weak, I share their weakness, for I want to bring the weak to Christ. Yes, I try to find common ground with everyone, doing everything that I can to save some." Paul uses that salvation language, and sometimes we think of that salvation language as somebody saying a prayer. Sometimes we think of that salvation language as somebody walking an aisle. Sometimes we use that salvation language as code for a magical change in a person who was going in one direction and prayed a prayer, was redeemed, and headed in the other direction forever and ever. Amen. Now, I think those things are wrapped up and can be true in that word, but also I think that we have to de-church that word a little bit and understand that what Paul is communicating here in its base form is that Paul does everything that he can to rescue some. The word salvation there is a word that essentially means rescue, but really the root of the word is the word salve, like a Vaseline or like a Neosporin, providing something for a wound so that it will heal, so that it will return back to a healthy state, a whole state, and the way it was designed to be. And so whenever, oftentimes, I think that we see the word salvation or save used in the Bible, and whenever we think of the word salvation, I think that is perhaps the best way that we can see it, is that we are being a part of the application by God of something that is bringing healing and health and wholeness and repair. Now, the repair of God, the salvation of God, might end up looking differently in the end than we might want. We might think that salvation, healing, repairing something to its state of wholeness is returning something to a pew in a three-piece suit with a clean shave and a nice haircut, singing hymns. We might think that that is the default setting for a person. But I'm not sure that we can say that unless God actually says that. So we shouldn't take this word too far. So what Paul says is, I'm going to be flexible. With those who are weak, I'm going to be vulnerable and show my weakness. To those, well, it's interesting, Paul doesn't actually mention strength, does he here? Let's talk about that for just a moment, because for when Paul talks about weakness, he could be talking about literal weakness, and I think that that can be seen through this, but it's also talking metaphorically, I think, about those who are weak. And in short, what he's saying here is he's going to be flexible in his lifestyle, in his food, and his clothing, and everything. Generally speaking, Paul is going to he's going to say, I'm going to ensure that whenever I am interacting with other people, I'm going to do my best to not be confrontational. I'm going to do my best to not project that there is a certain way that somebody who is a follower of Jesus Christ should act or should look. I'm going to come on that person's level where they are. Now, you may say, seriously, you're going to change yourself for other people? But we do this all the time, right? I mean, you go to work at a dirty job in the field or in the garden or to mow the lawn. You dress a certain way. You're going to a prom, a Friday night out, going to a big ball or a professional event at work. You're going to dress a certain way. You're going to rise to the occasion in who you are and how you are. Sometimes rising to the occasion means rising to a level of professionalism, or sometimes rising to the occasion means putting on dirty blue jeans, tennis shoes that you don't care about, and getting grass stains on them as you're working in the yard, right? Paul's saying, wherever the people are who are in need of having their wounds healed, I'm going to meet them where they are, both literally and figuratively. It's interesting, though, as Paul says this, what he's saying here, and I love this, is be prepared to do anything for others. And so it may well be that all of those people that I listed earlier, the pastor with tattoos, the person who lives alongside those who are without a home, who are under-resourced, maybe even the person who's wearing a three-piece suit to church, all fine and proper, or even the person who doesn't go to church, that all of these people could be living what Paul is saying, doing anything and being as flexible as possible for others. There's this mindset in today's culture of accept me for who I am. And oftentimes we internalize that. I don't want to say that that's bad, because there are a lot of really good things about accepting you for who you are. But I think that sometimes what we can do is we can take that too far, and we can just force other people to accept us where we are no matter what. I'm going to be who I am. I don't care what you think. You can either like it or you can leave it. There's a part of that that's true, but I think that what Paul is saying here I want you to shift your mindset just a little bit and understand, I don't want you to hide who you are, and I don't want you to change who you are, but I want you to understand that there are often times where you're going to have to tap in to other places within yourself in order to make connections with other people. I come from rural Midwest Indiana, small town, farm boy type living. When I am back home, I tap into a part of who I am that is very different than the part that I tap into whenever I'm in a big conference with lots of pastors from all over the world. I'm not being disingenuous to who I am, but it helps me to relate. It helps me to be able to carry on conversations about farm equipment and the weather, how high the corn stalks are, I'm able to relate and converse and have conversation and build a relationship with other people in one sphere. And I'm also able to do that in a different sphere. But I do that tapping into other places within myself. This is all Paul is saying here is be prepared to do whatever it is that you need to do in order to meet other people where they are in their hurt. Now, it's interesting. I pointed out that Paul here says, when I'm with the weak, I am weak. I show my weaknesses. I let the armor down just a little bit and let them on the inside so that they know that they are not alone in feeling weak. It's interesting, though, that Paul doesn't say anything about the strong. There are a couple of ways in which you can read this, and I think you can read it in whatever way that you want. It may well be that Paul simply didn't mention the strong here because he's speaking to those who are strong in their life. He's speaking to those who are strong in their spiritual journey, who are mature. And so he's simply saying to those who are strong, you need to understand that sometimes you're going to have to expose your weaknesses in order for other people to see your humanity, which is necessary for other people seeing Jesus in you. Or it may well be that what Paul is saying here, and this is another option, is that the strong aren't going to probably be in a place where they're ready for the salve of Jesus. I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. I like to think that that's not true, that no matter who we are, no matter where we are, no matter how strong we may be on the inside, that there may be something that I can do, something that you can do to break through that and help somebody see that life walking with Jesus can be radically, incredibly life-changing in really positive ways. I want to think that, but then there's this other part of me that says, I wonder if whenever we are strong, if we're just not really in a place where we can open ourselves up to the idea that we may need something that we can't provide for ourselves. I think you can think about it either way. When I'm with those who are weak, I share in their weakness, for I want to bring the weak to Christ. Yes, I try to find common ground with everyone, doing everything that I can to save some. I hope you're the type of person who tries to find common ground with everyone. And with this, we'll close. I do everything to spread the gospel, to spread the good news, and to share in its blessings. And I like this idea of what Paul says here is I do everything to spread the good news and to share in its blessings. Paul says I do everything that I can to give, and in giving, I also receive. Spreading and sharing. Giving and sharing in the blessings that are given. Whenever we live in such a way where we are open to loving people where they are around us, we receive a blessing in return. We share in a blessing in return. You see, sometimes we think of spreading the good news as knocking on doors or giving out tracts or decrying the way people live because we see it as a way that we think is in opposition to God or to his word. But really, spreading the good news is, in my mind, simply just living life well, understanding that the way that we live and interact with people is always spreading something. It's either spreading love or it's spreading hate. It's spreading inclusion or it's spreading exclusion. It's spreading a God who people want to believe in and want to have hope in, or it's spreading a story about a God who is angry and vengeful and who nobody in their right mind would ever want to have a relationship with. And the truth of the matter is we are all day, every day, 24/7, 365, spreading something. We're spreading something with our life. We're spreading good news, or we're spreading crap. You're going to share in the blessings of whatever you spread. If you are spreading love to other people, people who maybe have never felt love from Christians, from community, from the church, from God, if you're spreading love to people in their weakness, you're going to share in that blessing of love, because that love is going to be returned back to you. If you're spreading manure, you can't spread manure in a field without sharing in the blessing of manure. Trust me. Trust me. Out in the Midwest, out in the fields, whenever the manure is spread in order to fertilize, that's a kind word, fertilizer. It's manure. Paul's word for that is skubala in the Greek. Whenever you are spreading a field with manure, with fertilizer, you can't help but share in the blessing of the fertilizer all over your clothes, in your nostrils, under your fingernails, in your mouth. Whatever you're spreading to the world, you're going to share in its blessing. And you see these people. You see these people in church. You see these people on Facebook. You see these people at work. You see these people in your friendships and relationships. And you can tell the difference between those who are spreading something loving, something wonderful, something that feels godly, people who are spreading something else, people who are spreading hate, people who are spreading this idea of a strict understanding of who God loves and who God doesn't, people who are spreading manure and hate with their lives and with their mouths on behalf of God, on behalf of them. And as we think of this idea of suiting up in the Christian walk, we really, like Paul, have to make a decision as to who we're going to be and how we're going to live and what we're going to spread, because you're going to share in it. Well, that's enough for today. In fact, we'll continue on this, I think, tomorrow whenever we get back together. In fact, let me just get out my handy dandy little book here and see. We are we actually get to continue this tomorrow. So the question today, I love this. When was your weakest moment in life, and what was your strongest moment in life? And in this, we have a conversation starter every day for these topics. And I would love for you to use these conversation starters around the dinner table with your spouse, with your family. If you don't have that, maybe you just pose it to some friends on Facebook. Just put it out there. What was your strongest moment in life, and when was your weakest moment in life? And this is a great opportunity. It's an entry point into 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 22 and 23. Well, I better go. Until tomorrow, happy reading.